Hello and welcome to the C++ series. In this video, we are going to discuss variables and their usage in C++ programming by writing 3 samples. The first one would be a program called echo, which receives an input and then prints the same thing back or echoes it back. So the first step would be reading some value from the input. We use cin for that. Similar to cout, cin uses 2 angle brackets to represent that data will be read from the input and sent somewhere. But where? Well, we need to keep this data in computer's memory, which acts just like the short-term memory in human brain. Suppose someone asks you to repeat after them. What will you do? You have to first listen to them, keep what you've heard in your short-term memory, and then repeat it. That's what variables are for. They act like containers that can hold some data. Now, let me ask you to remember a small number, like this. Well, this is not really that small, and you probably couldn't remember it, because you were not ready for this much data. Or in other words, the container your brain picked for this value was smaller than needed. This is also the case with computers. When we declare a variable and create one of these containers, we have to tell the computer the fixed type and size of the container so that it can store the values we need. And to do so, there are some data types defined for us with certain usages. There is bool, which is used to store a true or false value, so the variable can either be on or off, true or false, 1 or 0. Char to hold characters like the ones on your keyboard, short for smaller numbers, int for larger ones, and long for bigger numbers. Float is also available for numbers with decimal points, and double does the same as float but takes up double the space and as a result has double the precision. Well, these were the primitive data types. There are more that don't exist in the C++ language itself but are created by other developers, like string, which is also a part of the standard library and can be used to store text, like a small message, a sentence, all the text you have on a paper, or the textual content of a whole book. You should also know that as the string is defined in the standard library, we must include the string library to use it. With all that said and done, let's get to writing our code. We first create a variable or container to keep the value the user types in. We expect to receive textual content from the user, so we declare this variable as a string. To define or declare a variable, we first type in its data type, followed by its name, like string input or int age. This name enables us to later read the data in the container or modify it. Variables can be set to an initial value using the equal sign. The sign can also be used to change a variable's contents. Then we can utilize cin to ask the user for input and keep it in our input container. What is left is to print the content that was read by cin with cout. At this point, we can just put this code into the template we learned about in the previous video, which includes IOStream for cin and cout and declares that we are using the std namespace. Note that this line can be removed if we explicitly mention that cin, cout, and nl are to be found in the std namespace, but we keep it as is for the sake of simplicity. Finally, we include the string library to complete the first program. Well, let's move on to the second program, which is supposed to ask the user's name and greet them. It has a lot in common with the code we just wrote, so we can get it to do that with a couple of changes. First, let's change the variable's name from input to name. This doesn't change anything about the way this program works, but choosing context-related descriptive variable names makes your code more readable and understandable for others who may work on it. Then we can go ahead and add the hello message to the cout statement before the name. The last issue to solve is that we are printing hello right before the name, which means that these two words will be joined together with no space in between. So we need to add a space character after the hello message and maybe a comma for better formatting. The third and final example is a simple calculator that asks for two numbers and prints their sum. So this program needs to keep two numbers in memory, for which we create the variables a and b. Next, cin can be utilized to read these two variables, and finally we can use cout to print a plus b. Notice how cin is also capable of receiving multiple inputs in a single line of code. This program works fine, but in no way is useful to its users, as they just get a blinking cursor when the application runs, and no instructions on how to use it. To solve this, we can add a number of cout statements to explain what the user has to provide before the cin statements. Note that I didn't use AND-L in these statements because I wanted the user to type in front of the question, but I added a space after the sentence to prevent the user's input from appearing joined to the word number with no spacing. Here we have also added a space between the colon character and the result for the same reason. Thank you for watching this video and hope to see you in the next one.